Welcome to the 105th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the 5th week of the summer 2019 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil literally everything. My name is Kat, and when I'm really trying to get a guy to like me, I sneak into his house and write, "Monster, your destiny is mine!" on the wall of his shower. It works 6 out of every 9 times. Just like a fucking Groupon! Also, Leo. Bcom.
Hello, I'm Bcom.
I guess I'll be Leo then.
Kat, something about Groupons seems to have you upset. I don't understand.
It's like 20 minutes. The last 20 minutes you've been screaming about it. What was that about?
I don't get it.
So I had a friend who was like, your dog daycare, where I'm boarding my dog, has a Groupon and it'll save you like $70 on your boarding, because I'm going to be boarding her for a week while I'm in Montreal. So I go on. I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. I print out the Groupon, take her over. They're like, this is the wrong one. You have to click this just very slightly different box. Like,
David.
And I'm like, fuck. So I go home and I'm like, hey, like, I need you to just exchange it. And I think the difference is like $10, right? Like, so I have to pay an extra $10. I just want you to fucking exchange the goddamn Groupon.
So you're talking to customer service at this point, right?
There's some bitch in India talking to me. I know she thinks I'm a dumb bitch. She's like, well, this person obviously is stupid. They picked the wrong one. Now I have to deal with their shit. And I'm over here like, oh, this sucks so much. And like, we're going back and forth. And she's just like stalling. And as she's stalling, I'm just getting more and more angry. and then at one point, it's been 40 minutes and I'm supposed to start recording with these guys. And I'm like, sorry, guys, it should be done any minute. We've been on the fucking phone for 40 minutes. And I'm like, I am in this bitch. And eventually she's like, sorry for all the holdup. Like, we're going to cover your extra cost and like give you a discount towards a future order. And I'm like, I would have fucking, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I would have fucking rather had my 50 minutes back than have you give me the goddamn discount now. I didn't need to spend an hour of my life doing this.
God, what a nightmare.
But, it all worked out in the end.
Sure. Yeah.
I get so heated about shit sometimes, especially when it like takes forever.
Well, what? You said you screamed so loud at one point you scared your neighbor?
Well, because I'm like, I have to be on this plane in a few hours, and this is what I'm dealing with, and I'm like, it's stressing me out. And I get so angry because she asked for the same piece of information for the 5th fucking time. And I like just explode, and like the sound of like 1,000 babies dying just comes out of my throat. And I actually damaged my voice a little bit when I did that. And I heard from my new next door neighbor just this like very loud thump noise against the wall that we share. And I did that, and then like a rustling. So I'm sure he's like, I live next to a demon.
There's a banshee next door.
Or your voice has like sonic scream powers, and like he just like slumped unconsciously against the wall, and he just woke up like 20 minutes later like, what the fuck happened to me?
Well, and it wasn't like maybe she's in trouble. Like maybe it was a fear noise. Like, no, there was like intense rage.
That's awesome.
God. So when you buy Groupon, kids, buy the correct one. That's my advice.
Make fucking sure. Like, check 6 times. Make fucking sure it's the right one, because you don't want to deal with it, guys. You don't. I think I screamed like, I'm gonna murder you like 5 times.
You did say you wanted to kill somebody quite a few times, and then one time specifically with fire.
Yes, with fire.
Well then.
But this is a constructive way of dealing with anger. Like, it's better to scream in my empty house
Yeah.
than to
go
actually scream at that person. Like,
Yeah.
I was very polite to the actual person, you know. So I think in the end,
Well,
no one
until
was
you
harmed.
type to them, I just want my fucking Groupon.
But that wasn't directed at her. I was like, just angry. I
was,
even said
message
at one
got
point,
across.
Directed at Groupon, Inc., I guess. Yes.
I even said at one point, I know you're tired of me too. I just want my fucking Groupon. I think you're a great person. I just need to get off the phone. I feel like that it like conveys to her that I'm not angry at her.
Sure.
Just at the situation.
Yeah. She gets it every day. Don't worry about it. It's okay. She's built to deal with this.
Well, I try not to be like a customer service nightmare. I try.
Speaking of killing people with fire, Leo, tell us more about Remnant from the Ashes.
Yeah, so my
Ooh,
update.
yes.
So, like, last thing was I was basically through the first area, but I was stuck at the boss.
Yes.
And he's pretty tough, and I was looking it up, and he is, like, I guess he's extremely tough when you're doing it solo. It can be done, but it is a very lengthy battle.
Wow. Just the first boss? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have the patience to do it. So I was like, all right, this is what I'll do. So you can do this thing where you reset your worlds, and basically it just randomizes the areas and where the enemies are and stuff. So it's almost it's a new experience, really.
Okay.
But I have to do everything up to the boss again. But this is my point. So I put it on public so that people are looking for games, they can see mine and join it. So I play. I really take my time. I explore every nook and cranny, try to find every single hidden chest or whatnot. I finally get to the boss an hour and a half later, and not a single fucking person has joined me. So I was like, I've leveled up quite a bit since my last counter. So I go in there and like I can actually take some hits from him, but there's just almost no way to get away from him to try to heal up or even get a decent amount of shots in without having to fucking run again.
Damn.
So I'm like, fuck it. So I was like, well, I'm tired of doing all the same stuff. I'm going to go join a game. Maybe they're doing something else. I joined the game. 10 minutes later, we're fighting the boss. We die once. The second time, we beat him.
Okay.
So that dude got it fucking done.
Yeah.
It doesn't get it done for me.
It doesn't count for you. Oh, that sucks that the progression doesn't count for you.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even got him the fucking sniper rifle because I knew where that was too.
Oh, that's nice.
That motherfucker made out like a bandit, and I'm still at that damn boss.
You're there like, I know everything about this game except how to beat this boss. It's like, let me show you the way.
Oh, I even know how to beat him. It's just like doing it solo is just...
It's a bitch.
That's just not... It's such a long fight that it's not fun.
That's
that
frustrating, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and the biggest thing with two people was he would chase one of us and not let the other one to shoot the ads and then shoot the boss.
Right. Yeah, so it seems like designed for that. Yeah.
It simplified it immensely.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my frustration with that game.
That's dumb. Yeah. All right. So I also finished something. I finally finished the 50-episode series from 1979 called Anne of Green Gables, which adapts the novels.
Green Acres is the place to be. Oh, that's a different show.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it adapts the novels from like the early like 1900s, and it's set in the late 1800s. A girl named Anne Shirley is adopted, sort of by accident, because there's this sister and brother who own a farm, named Marilla and Matthew.
Green Acres is the.
And they really they're like, Matthew's getting older, so it's he's not able to like handle all the farm work. So they want to adopt a boy, and so they send somebody to like tell the orphanage, all right, we want a boy, we want to win a boy, like let's try this out. And they send Anne by accident. It was just
I vaguely remember this book.
Yeah.
I remember reading this. Yeah.
So like, because it's like 50 episodes, it is a really in-depth adaptation of the book. Because like, actually a couple days ago, I watched like the 1985 like first part of the live action thing of Anne of Green Gables that everybody says is like the best adaptation of. And when I was watching that, I was like, all right, this is good, but they're also like cutting out so much stuff for pacing because it's like a movie. It's like an hour and a half, the first part of it, and there's like another hour and a half part. And like I actually kind of prefer the anime because it like really like delves into what Anne's life is like, and there's certain moments in the story, especially where like Anne is accused by Marilla of like stealing her like emerald brooch. And like Marilla's like, you're gonna lock you into your room until you friggin' confess, Anne. And Anne's like, I didn't do it. And then, but like after like a few days, she really wants to go to this picnic and meet like a whole bunch of kids because she just moved to this like place. She's like, all right, I confess, I wore the brooch outside. I took it to the lake and it slipped off of my neck when I was looking into the water, and it just flowed under the bottom. And Marilla's like, all right, I hate you, but at least you finally confessed. But you still don't get to go to the picnic.
I hate you.
Yeah.
Darn, I don't have to go to picnic.
But then, so like in the anime, this takes like 2 episodes to play out, and then of course, what happens is Marilla finds that the brooch was like caught in her sweater or something, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And then she's like, "Why did you confess to me?" And Anne's like, "Well, I mean, you told me to confess, or else I would stay in my room forever." So it's like it plays out like that, but like in the movie version I was watching from 1985, like that scene plays out over like 2 to 3 minutes. So it doesn't have like nearly the impact of like Anne like weeping in her room for like a day. Like instead here it plays out like, oh, it just happens, and like Anne is like locked in her room for a couple minutes, and then Marilla figures it out. And so yeah, having that amount of time to draw things out actually works to the show's benefit. So one of the biggest problems with this show though is just that it doesn't have like a Western release. And the only subtitles for it are really garbage. They're from like somebody who doesn't have English as a first language, and they kind of like apologize for that in like the details for the subtitle files. So I'm watching through the show, and it's just like you're kind of deciphering what they kind of meant, and you can kind of see that like a lot of the dialogue is like directly from the novel, and not necessarily translated from the Japanese like correctly. So there's all sorts of jank with that, but even despite all of that stuff, it was still such a like fun show to watch because Anne is such a hilariously fun character. She just is constantly imagining things, and is just like a delightful main character to watch for like 50 episodes as she like grows and becomes like a really interesting person. And the people who adopted her, Matthew and Marilla, are also just wonderful in their own way. Just really awesome people. And so, yeah, it's a really good show. Highly recommend it. It's really hard to rate a show like this because it's like from 1979. So it's like, well, the animation's not great, but for 1979, It's kind of good, actually. And then it's like, oh, it was based on a novel. So like the writing part has almost all been done. They just had to kind of adapt it a bit. So it's hard to rate that, but I ended up giving it like an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really, really solid show. So yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It was fun. You know what else is fun? Lifting dumbbells. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is a fun episode. Episode 5 of How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? What's your sports day event? So summer has ended, and the first order of business back at their school is to choose students to participate in the school's sports day. Hibiki hates sports day. And
Not surprising.
Yeah, obviously. And she's glad there's like, oh, there's a bunch of girls in my class. They'll get picked for this before me because they're all sporty, unlike me. Except her teacher decides, I'm just going to choose students by lottery this year. So it's very fair for everyone. And Hibiki is like, So she tragically ends up in the 400-meter relay, which is like the final event. And
not only that, she's the anchor, which is the most considered the most important spot.
Exactly. So they head to the gym to tell Machio, and like Akemi, Ayaka, and Hibiki are all just sitting on top of Machio as he does like a bridge exercise where his head is just like against the floor and, you know, his whole torso is lifted up. I was just like, why are they just sitting on him like this? Like Satome says that too.
They're assisting him.
Yeah. And he also just so he doesn't have his arms like against the ground because he has them crossed. And he just like sits up out of that position, even with all the girls on him. And I was like, dude, this guy is so strong. Like, it's
He's
insane.
a fucking monster. You know this.
It's just ridiculous. I was like, I could never do that.
I mean, he literally takes off his sweatshirt and like grows 3 sizes that day. Like, he is the Grinch's heart as a person.
You know, he and Nezuko should hang out because they are really good at shrinking when they need to and getting big and strong when they need to.
I had that same thought too.
So Hibiki is pretty sure she has no chance in this race because she, like Satomi, has a short, stocky body type as compared to like runners' bodies like Akemi and Ayaka, who are skinny and have really long legs. But
I don't think it's that they're short. It's just that they've got that like curvy body type. Like you either are a very slender person or you're like a little more like curvy. And I don't mean like you're fat. Like literally your muscles are bigger. Like you have bigger hips.
Yeah.
Like some people just have that body type. And they do. And those people are not good runners. Because guess what? I fucking suck at running.
But Baccio would say, no, Kat, you can train your muscles, all your running muscles.
Not really.
And well, you can get at least slightly better results. So in particular, he's like, you can focus on your hamstrings by doing leg curls. And
the accelerator muscles.
Yeah, accelerator muscles, while your quads are like your braking muscles. And like one of them, I think Satomi asks like, oh, can I just do squats for all of that? And he's like, well, it's actually inefficient to just do squats because you don't want to just train your brake muscles at more than your accelerator muscles or at just as much. So you want to do something that can only target your hamstrings too, and that's leg curls.
Yeah, that goes with what I said, I think it was last week, that when you train your biceps, you also definitely want to train your triceps equally. So you have good muscle balance. Yeah.
But in this case, Macho is saying like train your hamstrings a bit more because like they are the ones that propel you forward.
That is just depending on what you're trying to achieve, then that is true.
So now if you've ever done leg curls in the gym, you know that you're basically face down, ass up for this. Yep. And the anime takes full advantage of that for a bunch of fan service with Satomi. She's like
fucking used to it.
Yeah, she's like breathing hard, sweating.
The anime is half fan service.
Oh,
they have a lot of shots of like, and I'm going to slowly take off my clothes while I tell you about what area this works, and then I'm going to be naked and pose for you. Like that's this anime.
I like speaking of taking off their clothes, like Hibiki gets on the leg curls next, and Machio like starts stripping because she's like so gung-ho about getting a toned butt. He just starts taking his shirt off randomly, and then she ends up splitting her shorts, which is luckily for her censored. But yeah, you know, she tried. She's the anchor of the relay team, like Leo said, because she lost at rock, paper, scissors. And she's up against Akemi among like other girls from the other classes. And apparently Akemi got the nickname the Koyo Joiner last year when she outran the entire track team. And Joiner is a reference to Florence Griffith Joyner, who is like known as like the fastest woman on earth. In the 1988 Seoul Olympics, she had 3 gold medals, I think, and she set records in the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints that still stand, which is crazy considering that was 1988.
Crazy.
Like, apparently they were wind-assisted, but it's still legal. So, I mean, that's nuts, though. Like, I think the 100 was like a 10.49 or something like that. Really fast. However, there is another muscle that Machio told Hibiki about to help her run faster. And this is called the iliopsoas, a muscle which supports your back from your sides and, like, stabilizes your hip joints to allow them to move fast, basically. And so to train this muscle, Machi was like, oh, you got to do bicycle crunches.
My favorite crunch.
I love these crunches too, actually. Like, this is like my favorite way to do crunches.
Yeah. I always feel like I get the most out of them when I do them too.
Yeah, because you're working like your obliques, your whatever the normal abs are called.
You're fucking hitting damn near everything.
Yeah, and this like iliopsoas muscle, and yeah, you just you're on your back, you're alternating your elbows touching your legs.
I feel like a turtle when I do these.
Oh, when you do these?
I can
like a
see
turtle that someone flipped over and is like, oh, try to get up. And like, you can't get up.
I feel more like a cat on its back. It's like, it's like a fat cat, like, flopping around. So yeah, when Hibiki heard these could give her like a more slender waistline, she did so many that she had to skip school the next day from the soreness.
Wow.
But unfortunately, we don't get like a really fair race between Akemi and Hibiki because like Hibiki misses the baton on the handoff of the relay. And so she starts behind, but like even so, she tries her hardest and she almost catches up to Akemi, which is like she might have actually beaten Akemi if that like had happened. But if it had been fair. But
If they'd started off at the same time. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, and according to the Japanese Association of Athletic Federations, sports rules and regulations, apparently, if a baton is dropped, the athlete who dropped it has to pick it up. And in this case, Hibiki just picked up the baton and ran with it. Like the other girl, apparently, who dropped it would have had to pick it up, give it to her, and then continue the race. So her time is disqualified, which sucks for her.
They lost anyways. Who cares?
So the gym is celebrating its 1-year anniversary, and Machio gives all the girls like a raffle ticket as a free gift. And he says they have awesome prizes, so they should try to win. And him just saying the word try like triggers his insatiable desire to show off his triceps. He's like, side tricep. The guy's fucking nuts. I wonder what like drugs he's on, seriously. And so the girls hit the sauna after their workout, and Hibiki like breaks down that in the sauna you sweat out a lot of water weight, and so people have the misconception that you're actually burning more fat when you're just losing water weight, basically. But it does apparently improve your blood circulation, which can reduce muscle stiffness after workout and swelling. They also say it like kickstarts your metabolism, which can lead to beautiful skin, which I was like, I guess so.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one either. After the show does like a bunch of warning you about using the sauna for too long, they use the sauna for too long. They have a competition to see who can use it the longest. And the winner will get all of their raffle tickets, and the top prize is a trip to the USA, but Akemi apparently just wants the third prize, which is a Silverman's t-shirt. But yeah, this was an excuse for two things: comedy and having cute, sweaty girls in towels breathe hard for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Which is a tried and true tradition in anime. So Ayaka runs out first, followed by Akemi because they can't take the heat. And Satomi seems to be having like no trouble at all this whole time. She's just like kicking back, like relaxing. And Hibiki is like at her last like legs, basically, when she like looks closer at Satomi and realizes she's just basically passed out with her eyes open. And so Hibiki wins. And of course she wins a t-shirt, and she gives it to Akemi because she's like,
She wins 4 t-shirts, I think, right?
Oh, does she? I thought it was just the one because she gave it to Akemi. I don't know.
No, she said she won like 7 of them.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that. Okay. And so, yeah, apparently it had calligraphy on it from Bulkzan Sakaki, who I guess runs the gym or something. I don't know, as far as I know. And yeah, so she gives them t-shirts. And yeah, the end exercise is like 40 bicycle crunches, which I had a lot of fun doing in voice chat with my headphones on. I was kind of surprised because like most of the other exercises at the end of the show have been like 10 or 20 reps. So when they were like 40, I was like, oh, fuck.
That probably made you sore the next day, didn't it? 40's
It didn't make me sore, but like maybe a little bit.
a big one to start off on, I think.
Yeah. It was a big
Yeah, you
thing.
just got to make sure when you're doing them is that like you can go through the motions, but you still have to focus on like really contracting your abs at the same time.
Yeah.
Then you really get a really good effect from them.
Yeah, if you want it to be really effective, you want to do everything with the correct form and like, yeah, tightening your abs and your obliques and everything. And just, yeah,
Just make
really
sure to crunch
stretching
them
out
up
your
when you-
legs too when you're going through the bicycle like extension part. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and just one thing I noticed that Sakura had a quick training montage, and she did the Rocky running the stairs thing. You don't actually want to do that. This has been proven it's pretty fucking bad on your knees.
Oh, really? So like those people who like run stadium runs and like run up the stairs and run down the stairs are like killing their knees.
Yeah, you don't want to do them. They're it's bad for you. Just run the track field.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
or find a fucking hill, just not steps.
Yeah, that's true. You're running hills. Oh, man, that brings me back to high school also. Fuck.
I always see people in the gym who do the step machine for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, what are you doing?
The step machine's a little different because you're not impacting.
Well, but you are though. You're still going up the steps.
Yeah, but it's a lot less stress on your knees.
But your feet are staying on those pads the whole time. Unlike with stairs, you're actually coming down and being just like, bam. Yeah. It's a big difference on your knees.
I guess. I just always am like, you could be doing so many other things. I don't know.
All right. What's up next? Kat, tell us about Maidens.
Okay.
Since you're a savage today.
Yes. Oh, and my cat jumped down. He's like, oh, I can see. I don't want to be here. All right. So Nina gets on this fucking train with Azumi. And she's like, this way there won't be any more rumors and we can talk. And then Nina is like, and then immediately like they're seen by all these other people, so it didn't work. And there's a bunch of talk that goes on about this. While they're on the train, Nina talks about how trains are big boxes carrying lives.
Yeah.
And then, like, goes on this rant about how, like, unhappy and happy people and people who are lonely and people with families are all on these trains and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, like, that's fine. And then Azumi, of course, is very excited about this because he's like, I have a fetish about trains.
This was them bonding, okay?
Yeah.
He's like, whenever I get on a train, it makes me tingly in all the right place.
It was interesting him being like all romantic about the idea of like people coexisting in an environment that then moves a long way. Which it was just you never stop to think about that, but it's an interesting idea. But it is also very cheesy.
It's also like where you get the most diseases. Like that's where you get fucking sick is on trains and shit. Just saying. Nina suddenly pulls him off the train, and it becomes very apparent, like, this is why she fucking had him on this train, to meet this dude. Not to do whatever the fuck. She was like, let me use you to my advantage in this weird way. Like, I mean, she also helps him, but
yeah,
she got something out of this. So she pulls him off the train to meet this old guy with glasses called Sagusa. And he asks if Azumi is her boyfriend, and she's like, just about. And of course, Azumi's like, what should I say?
Yeah.
And Sagusa says they make a nice couple. And then they go off, you know. And then while this is happening, because Kazusa is like freaking out because she saw them together along with Momoko. And Momoko points out that Nina knows that Kazusa likes Azumi. And so Nina wouldn't date him. And then Kazuo is like, well, but if Azumi was dating someone, I would worry about them. Like, I would worry about Nina because I can't win against her.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so you have no self-esteem.
I liked how at first, like, Momoko was like, oh, I was just trying to defend Kazusa, like, oh no, like, you're really cute too. And then Kazusa's like, oh no, you don't need to defend me. And Momoko's like, yeah, Nina's like really gorgeous and perfect and mysterious. You're right. You don't have a chance against her. I really liked that.
It was funny. I don't know. And then they talk about how Hongo and Nina are both very mysterious, which I don't put them in the same category at all. Like, Hongo is very dorky, and, like, Nina is very elegant.
Yeah, Hongo's more, like, secretive, while Nina is mysterious, yeah, I would say.
Yeah. And then while they're having this conversation, Hongo passes them in the teacher's car and is like, oh, fuck, and, like, slumps down. And I guess they're, like, discussing if they should fuck. And he's like, I don't really want to go to jail. And she's like, but I really want to fuck.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, I also feel like he does want to help her.
He does want to help her.
He does, and he does want to fuck her, but he doesn't want to go to jail. And he wants that last thing a lot more than he wants the other two.
Yes.
So Hongo starts crying and is like, tells him all about her troubles with writing her book and how she wants to get better and all of this. And I'm sure that's very attractive because, you know, what all men want is just to see you cry. That's like the hottest thing you could do.
Please, no thank you.
That's the way way to get a guy to just sprint in the opposite direction. Anyway, Nina tells Izumi that when she was... So they sit down to eat. Like, I think they have coffee or something.
Drinks, whatever.
Yeah. Well, they're not fucking 21. They're not getting alcohol.
They both just had like... He had like a melon drink and she had fucking who knows. Bubble tea.
Are the melon drinks actually green?
Yes,
in Japan?
they are. The melon soda is green at least, yes.
Do they make your mouth green?
I don't think so. I mean, like, we have, like, Mountain Dew here. Does that make your mouth, like, yellowish green? I don't know.
Well, but grape soda makes your mouth purple.
That's true.
I guess it just depends on what they use to color it with.
Yeah. That's because grape soda is the good shit, Kat.
Grape soda is the shit that nobody should drink, but everybody does.
I would prefer an orange soda, thank you.
Yeah, I guess orange soda makes your mouth
you're a
orange.
Monster. Orange soda is terrible too.
I'm telling you, orange soda used to be good, though. That's all I'm telling you.
I didn't drink any of this shit. I wasn't allowed to drink soda. Joke's on you guys.
The sheltered life of Kat.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nina tells Zimi, like, when I was a girl, Sagusa basically was interested in me sexually.
Kind of.
And...
Kind of, yes.
Well, but he was. So, like... He tells her when she was a kid that he wouldn't be interested in her anymore when she was an adult.
And
that
also
her
he
charm
says
would be gone.
If he did actually go all the way with her, then she wouldn't be interesting anymore. She would be tainted.
Because then she wouldn't be a child anymore.
Yeah.
So she first met him when she was 11, and I guess she used to be in a theater troupe when she was young, and he directed that theater troupe. And he picked her to be the lead, and he was this famous director, so she felt very flattered by that interest, of course, any child would. And there's this weird scene where he, like, caresses her fucking foot like a creeper.
He rubs it against
like,
his face.
He's like, kick me if you don't want to be in my play, baby. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was disgusting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like how Izumi the whole time's like, this dude's a fucking pedo, you know that, right?
Izumi's reactions like kind of saved this whole scene, honestly.
I believe it did, yes. Mm-hmm. And honestly, pedophiles in anime are rampant everywhere, and this is probably the best use I've ever seen of one. The best handled.
Yeah.
I will give it that.
They call him a lolicon, and they actually translate it as pedophile, which I thought was good because it's pretty much the same thing. And they cover the idea of it in a tasteful way and in a way that is realistic. Other than the fact that he doesn't actually rape children, which I think most pedophiles probably end up doing at some point.
Yeah, so that's the weird line he draws where it's like, oh, if I were to ever act on these impulses I have, it would ruin the innocence of the little girl. And so he's like a weird version of this. It makes
it almost okay, but it's still not okay. Like,
at least he has a fucking line.
Yeah, it's like, well, at least she's slightly safe, but he still fucked with her emotions a lot, and that's a lot to do to an 11-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
And then one day, like, they go on all these dates, basically. Like, he dates her. He takes her out to eat. He does all this shit with her, but he never touches her sexually.
Mom is super okay with this. And you know what?
And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And you know what that made me think of? The Michael Jackson documentary.
Oh God, yeah.
Yep, that does remind me of that. And then one day when she's 14, she basically is like, touch me, because you're obviously sexually interested in me, and you're around me all the fucking time, and I want you to want me. And he explains like the whole thing where if he actually touched her, then he wouldn't be attracted to her anymore.
You know, this is the second time that a girl in the show has grabbed the guy's hand and pressed it against her chest.
Oh, yeah, true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Hitoha did it earlier.
Did it as well. Yeah, both of these relationships are very weird.
They are. And he reassures her like, you'll have people be attracted to you one day, but I just never will. And like, I'm gonna find another girl soon because you're getting old. You're 14, like an old fucking bitch now. And
he's like 68.
I know.
God.
I I don't know. And then Nina uses this whole story to explain to Azumi that he should not have told Kazuza that he didn't want to do it with her at all because then she'll feel rejected, just as Nina kind of did, even though, she shouldn't have, but she did.
Yeah.
I also feel like she just wanted to get that shit off her chest because, like, who else is she gonna fucking tell?
Yeah, and what is Izumi gonna tell that to somebody? Like, Izumi couldn't get that out without blushing and freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, also I wonder, I mean, I know that Nina doesn't mean for this to be intimate, like, but the two of them are developing this thing. They may end up being a thing, honestly.
It may end up being sort of a love triangle, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
potentially
think Nina has any attraction towards him.
No, I'm not saying that she does right now, but I'm saying that false that intimacy that she's created could fall into something else.
I don't know. I think Nina and Momoko are going to have something.
Well, yeah, Momoko does find Nina to be very attractive for sure. So that's possible.
And then Momoko kind of had her date fall flat. So.
Mm-hmm.
Enrica turns out to be a total hottie. I mean, fuck.
Hell yeah. Can't wait to get to that part.
Yeah. Anyway, so, Momoko ends up going on a date with that guy from the last episode.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, but, guy who looks like the main character from Haikyuu.
Yeah, and they split the bill. So basically, I guess the bill was like, let's say it was $50.
Sure.
And he turns to her and says, "Hey, why don't you pay me $20? And I'll take care of it." And then he acts as if he's paid for the whole thing and she didn't pay her a part of it.
Right.
That's basically what he does.
And also because he bought something more expensive than her, which... Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in reality, she only spent I think she said 1,200 yen. And so...
She saved $2 or
she
something
saved
like that.
$2 and he's acting all high and mighty about it.
Yeah, he's like, I would never make the girl pay. Like, guys who do that are disgusting, blah, blah, blah. Like, he paid for the entire thing and she didn't pay him back.
Yeah.
And she's in the background just being like, this guy... this fucking bitch. And, because that's shitty.
Here's a good rule. If you're going to pay for a bill, don't fucking talk about it after. There's nothing to talk about.
Or, you know what? If you're going to pay for a bill, actually pay for it. Don't say you paid for it when you didn't fucking pay for it.
Yeah, there's literally nothing to discuss there. And it's so dumb.
I think that's a little bit of high school man pride there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but all he had to do was just not say anything. That's all he had to do.
He's in high school. He hasn't got it figured out yet.
He hasn't figured shit out yet. Yes. Yeah.
Meanwhile, as this date is going on, I guess Kazuza's family and Azumi's family decide to go bowling together. And there's this moment where, his fingers just go into this bowling ball, and Kazuza is like, "Oh, it's so embarrassing." And I'm like, "Bitch, it's a fucking bowling ball.
But
Suck it up.
It could be me,
sexy.
though.
Do you have 3 holes?
Well,
no.
Actually.
Not next to each other, okay?
I was like, actually, yeah, you got 3.
Not next to each other.
Maybe not 3 holes, but 3 fingers can certainly fit. So
two in the pink, 1 in the pink.
There you go.
Is that what you're implying? I don't know. It was dumb. And then they go get drinks together while their families play bowling. And, okay, what is cow piss? Well, first of all, every time I say it sounds like cow piss. And that's disgusting.
Yeah, so it's like a Japanese soft drink that is kind of, there's a yogurt flavored one. There's a bunch of different flavors. But
why not just eat yogurt?
It's got water and dry milk and lactic acid in it. It's a weird kind of bitter tasting drink typically. I've had it a couple times. I don't love it, but it's kind of an acquired taste, basically.
Yeah, so I guess she puts milk in it, and Izuki just kind of laughs at her because she's always done that.
Yeah, to cream it up a little bit, basically. Yeah.
Now who's being a perv?
What she says, I like it creamy. She's being a perv, not me. God,
yeah,
judging me.
I don't know. He says Nina's weird, and Kazusa says she's pretty, and he thinks she's more weird than pretty, and that makes obviously Kazusa happy. And then you find out like Momoko hated her date. Oh, he also did this thing where it comes up that she doesn't have a dad, and then later he texts her like, "I don't think of you any different for it."
And he was also like, "Thank you for letting me in on such an important piece of information about yourself."
Thing. I'm just like, you're a fucking dick.
He's like working her. He's like reading fucking bullshit like players' guides on the internet about how to manipulate your girl.
As soon as he started doing some of those lines, I was like, oh, all he wants is to fuck her. That's all he wants.
Yeah, it was such a warning sign, like immediately for me as well. I was like, no, this guy's no good.
He just wants to stick it in. When you try to be fake nice, like girls immediately, we have like radar for that. Okay.
Yep.
It like dings like a car alarm. just know you're not fooling us. Anyway, so Momoko ends up being like disappointed because she wanted this romance, and really now she just thinks this guy is gross. I guess Hongo and the teacher decided that she should flash him, and that is their compromise.
He gave it as a example of how to be like indirect eroticism.
Conceptual and not direct eroticism is the
that way he doesn't have to go to jail.
And like I see where he's coming from, because like if they couldn't establish that he told her to do this, then you couldn't put him in jail for this.
It'd be on
the girl,
Itoha,
basically. Yeah. But if they could ever pull his chat logs, holy shit, is he in trouble?
Which they totally can pull his chat logs. It's not hard. That's the thing.
The other thing is
using a VPN.
Hongo could say that she was told to do this, but it would be hearsay is the thing in court. So I don't know. I don't know how that would play out.
I think he's just fucking with her partly too, though.
I think he
it's partly that he has an ethical thing in his brain.
Yeah,
this is where I think he's at. I don't think he's as worried about the school finding out. I mean, he is, but really his issue in his mind, I think, is the ethical portion of it for himself, and slightly fucking with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like I already said, I think he is concerned for her also, and would like to help her out somehow, even if it's maybe from a little perverted part of his brain, but
maybe. But
that doesn't mean I condone it at all. I'm just saying, I actually think they're showing him having actual concern for her.
I don't think it's concern. I mean, I think maybe he has some concern for her, but I don't think that's the primary reason he's doing this. But yeah, she got really excited about it while she flashed him, and it also really made her mad, which is interesting. I don't know. And then the next day, Momoko starts to ask Nina about like her meetup with Izumi, and Kazusa stops her. And then Nina's like, you know what's weird, Izuki? And then like they kind of cut it off, I guess. Like there's like a confrontation that's gonna happen somehow.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, Rika gives that kid's 50-page paperback, and this is like the most adorable part.
It's so good,
pretty cute.
Oh my god, like, it's so good.
She corrected it, so like she went through all 50 pages and corrected it, and it's really adorable. And he goes to read it, and she's super embarrassed and like doesn't want him to read it while she's there, and pushes him, and the pages fall everywhere. And like she's like, "There's some people who are gonna see," and like they're trying to
gather the pages,
collect them, and he grabs the last page, and her reply was, "If you would be so kind," and it's like adorable as fuck. And she's so embarrassed he read it while she's there, and like runs away and covers her ears while like he celebrates in the background and is like, "Yeah!"
And he's like she like says through like her embarrassed like tears, like, he's such an idiot, but she's so happy. At the same, it's so
adorable.
Perfect. Oh my god,
it's cute as fuck.
One of the better romantic moments I've seen in anime in a while. Like that hits so well.
Yeah.
Whew. But yeah, this episode was like a fucking roller coaster ride. From like crazy pedophiles to like adorable confessions and stuff. Like, I just love like the fucking crazy breadth of weirdness, you know, and that can happen with like high school romance that this story is trying to cover. It's so messy, but that makes it so interesting to watch.
Not to mention there was like the misunderstandings with Kazusa when she saw Nina and Izumi together. And usually I hate that shit because people jump to conclusions, but like that even got fleshed out really well. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is nice.
I also really liked Izumi's reaction when Nina like just dropped on him that like, oh yeah, Kazusa has a crush on you, and he just like has to like take like a minute to like process this information because he's like, wait, what?
Oh, that's right.
What?
She did say that, and he didn't know somehow.
Yeah.
That just makes
she laughs at him. She's like, how could you not fucking tell?
Yeah, she's like, I thought you were the kind of guy who would pick up on that.
No, I mean, what part of him made her think he was the kind of guy that would pick up on that? Like, all guys are dumb.
Maybe Nina just wanted to help things along there a little bit. Maybe that was her real goal.
No, she is just obtuse as he is. She is obtuse in her own way, just in a different way.
Oh, so by the way, one of our listeners, ASDF Camp 6, messaged me about Milo, which is like, you know, the nickname for Hyutaha's Yamagishi, the teacher. And like he explained last episode, it's like tough kids drink Milo. Yeah, so Milo is like this chocolate malt powder that you mix with like hot or cold milk, and it's especially popular in like Asia and Africa and like Australia, basically. And so he just like messaged me about that and says like, yeah, it's kind of like Ovaltine, like you should try it. So, and apparently you can find it in the foreign section at Walmart, at least in North Carolina, if you want to go looking for it. I kind of want to try it now.
I know you can find Pocky in mine.
Oh yeah, you can definitely get Pocky. Yeah.
Okay, we have spent 45 minutes on 2 fucking shows and a little intro.
Yep.
So let's get through these next 2 fairly quickly.
Yeah, let's, pick up the
I have
pace.
both synopsises. Thank God.
There we go.
Okay, don't like fuck around with the Demon Slayer one too much.
Leo is the pace setter.
Okay, so Demon Slayer episode 18, A Forged Bond. How do we say this guy's name?
Giyu.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Giyu and Shinobi are shown to have arrived at the force and decide to split up.
Shinobu.
What did I say?
Shinobi.
Oh, oops.
Which is okay, because she's kind of a bae.
She is kind of bae.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, like, I make that mistake too.
They decide to split up. Tanjiro and Inosuke both try to cut through the father demon's arms and just can't. His arms are just like too thick, too tough. He's swole. The demon then goes after Inosuke, and Tanjiro has to like drop a tree on his ass to just get him to fucking stop. And then Tanjiro goes in for the kill, but gets thwarted when the demon picks the tree up and then sends him flying like a fucking grand slam. And as Tanjiro flies away, he yells at Inosuke to not die until he gets back. Like he's reinforcing this. Even with his boar head on, you can tell he's like, fuck.
Yep.
Like you just, it's like, I don't know if they just kind of changed the boar head up a little bit or it's just his posture, but he was just like, oh, this is not going to go well.
Right.
And then they just do a very quick scene with Zenitsu. He's barely holding on, and like he kind of starts to go, and then he hears his grandfather's voice telling him not to give up, and he opens his eyes to see
Shinobu. Yeah,
Shinobu landing next to him, asking him if he is. He's like, "Are you all right?" It's like, "Oh, obviously not," but okay. Tanjiro manages to land by using one of his attacks to slow his momentum, so that's pretty cool. But he literally has no time to rest as he hears like a woman screaming and like pleading. He investigates to find the sister demon with her face all cut up, cowering in front of Rui. And Tanjiro then has to school them on what a true bond is. And calls theirs counterfeit and forged. Rui is fucking pissed. But they quickly get interrupted by another demon slayer that says he can kill this kid demon and move up in rank. And fuck. Of course he gets killed fucking right away. Just immediately. He gets diced up like that laser scene in Resident Evil.
Yep, I thought of that scene exactly. Yes, exactly.
Kat, have you seen Resident Evil?
No, unfortunately.
Oh God, we need to start watch parties again. For you, there's so much crazy stuff because like then you would be like, oh, I've seen that before because it's like very memorable from that movie, that part of the movie.
But yeah, this kid gets eviscerated. Yeah.
Inosuke is hiding from the father demon and desperately trying to figure out a way to survive until Tanjiro gets back. He eventually has to run, and while running is like, fuck this, I'm just going to attack.
Yeah.
And like so he like lands a blow on the demon's arm, and he just keeps fucking hammering away with his other sword on it until he actually ends up cutting off his arm.
Yeah, he's like hitting his other sword with the second sword, like to jam it through that damn arm. Yeah.
And then like the demon like runs off, and Inosuke's like, what? And then he starts chasing him. He eventually loses sight of him and has to use his technique to locate him, and he finds him up in a tree. But then the demon like molts its skin and transforms into an even bigger and uglier demon, complete with his new arm back. And he's like so fucking fast, Inosuke can't even like fucking keep up with him.
Yeah.
And he's even stronger. And like he's like, I'm probably really screwed now. And at one point, like he's like, I can't do this. And so he kind of like lowers his swords in defeat. But with like one tiny ounce of resolve left, he raises his swords back up and immediately just gets like punted into the fucking trees.
Yeah.
He ricochets off like 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
And then like he finally gets behind him and like uses a technique on its head, and his head so hard it just snaps both his blades. And he's finally starting to succumb to his injuries and like can't even move anymore. And he gets picked up by his head, and it's slowly being crushed. And he even tries one last technique where he manages to stick both his broken blades into the demon's neck, but it doesn't even have an effect. And it's just as he is starting to fade away, he suddenly has this like repressed memory of a woman leaving him in the woods, and she's covered in blood. And she says she at least wants Inosuke to survive.
So like maybe his mother, we're assuming obviously like.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were under some type of attack, probably demon attack.
But he even says like, "Who are you?" as his head's getting because he's thinking about like the woman he sees in his vision. It's like like you said, a repressed memory. He doesn't remember this.
Yeah. So it sounds like his mother managed to like hide him in the woods from.
Okay, but like nobody actually remembers anything when they're that tiny. That's like reality.
This is
I'm
anime,
always
Kat.
the one who chimes in with like real facts, like hashtag reality.
Well, hashtag reality. They keep getting all these injuries, and then they can still go on. And I'm like, no.
Oh, that's true.
No.
That's also true.
Adrenaline is a bitch.
But then suddenly, just before he dies, Giyu shows up and like swiftly and I will say effortlessly kills the demon with a water breathing technique.
Interesting.
Yeah. The show then ends with Tanjiro being able to smell Ruri's threads and detect them. And he leaps at Ruri and goes to slash one of his threads, and it just cuts his blade off almost at the hilt.
And at this point, I'm like, Tanjiro's sword is broken. How the fuck is he going to keep fighting? And I'm like, time to take Nezuko out of the box. That's
part of it.
One quick thing I wanted to mention. Just I like the part in the episode where Tanjiro is, telling them about the fort that their bond is forged, like Rui and his sister, and because he's saying that like it doesn't matter if your family is found or blood related. They could still be just as real as a blood-related family, and like, but the only thing Tanjiro senses between these two is just like terror and fear, and so that's why he calls their bond.
No, he flat out had like basically all those family members in fear of him, like ruling by fear. That old.
But this episode was awesome because you have like Inosuke fighting like a really badass boss, and at the same time Tanjiro dealing with Rui, who is like the head of all this, it seems, and so. Yeah, it's cool to see them both going at it at the same time. Really action-packed episode.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know. I still am not like... I like it better. I like it better than I did. It had a slow point.
Well, good thing I believe you have the next episode.
Yeah,
I do.
Kat, if you do not like really this show after episode 19, then we have major problems. So
we may have to replace
episode 19 is a big episode. So
if it's all action, though, you know I'm not really a action.
It's not all
Let me
action.
put it this way.
But oof.
Okay.
You were the last to join the voice chat. When Bcom joined, I was watching the 19th episode for the 5th time again.
For the fucking 5th time?
It's good.
The
It's a fucking
internet quite
good
literally
episode.
blew up when this episode came out.
I'm probably going to be watching it at the airport. So maybe some Canadians are going to be scared of me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
so,
gonna be
like-
screaming.
Like Bcom just said, when episode 19 dropped, the anime community lost their fucking mind over that episode.
You know what?
Is that why everyone's like sucking this show's dick so
Yes,
hard?
it is.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
it was that episode that started it all over.
You know what episode the anime community didn't go shit over?
Them, episode 4?
Oh my god, Leo, you made me watch this. I hated this.
I don't know why. Watching both your guys' locks fucking it's almost a physical fucking hurt. I hate
Okay, I'll agree with you on Bcom's.
Demon Girls,
And I'll
I just
even
flat out hate. Given I will
yep.
give the fact that this is not for me. The show is not for me. I can give it to that one, but I don't like it.
See, I'll even give you that Given is not the best show, but it's not this, okay? Like,
I'm still very intrigued in this show and what's going on.
I'm very
Leo,
intrigued.
what is wrong with you?
So the episode is called Lightning. Sonia's investigating a crime scene where a young woman was killed with high voltage.
This is
There's
Ben,
also-
by the way. I don't know if we ever said it.
I
So-
started
we
with
did? Okay.
them already. Yeah. There was also a message written on the wall that says, "Monster, your destiny is mine."
I'm just gonna start like replacing BEM in the documents with like a poop emoji.
The writing on the wall seems to be a straight call out to Bim specifically, who has definitely taken notice. This episode was all over the place. I've never written so many
It
short
really was
paragraphs
all over the
before.
place. Like, I was just jumping from place to place, and I was like,
You can tell by
What?
how many fucking little tiny paragraphs I have.
yeah, right? It's so weird.
So Bello is still also struggling with liking humans after Daryl blamed him for his father's death. He also ignores his 3 friends from the arcade that see him on the street. And then in the Monster Club, we get confirmation that guy that's doing these killings is called Mr. Shock. And then, he also kills one of the other monsters when he disagrees with him, and nobody really seems to give a shit.
I like to think that the Monster Club is the name of a club that Kat goes to all the time. The Monster Club.
Oh, that would be a cool club name.
So back at the school with Bella, there's a pack of girls who make fun of Roddy because he is, see, your cat likes this show, Kat. I heard that.
Yeah, you got back on my lap.
They're making fun of Roddy because he's looking into the strange murders happening on the outside. And then after class, Bella asks him about it, and he's just probably really way too excited about investigating them. He's super fascinated by it. It's creepy. Then Sonia continues to get looked down upon because, she's saying there are monsters disguised as humans, and there's a war going on between 2 groups of humans, and 2 groups of monsters, and humans are getting caught in the middle. And I'm kind of like, I would see why they're kind of like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
That makes a little bit of sense. So there have also been other cases of women being electrocuted, and there's also a white powder around them at the time. And the powder turns out to be starch and just human skin that probably just flaked off when they got fucking electrocuted to death. Bem does some of his own investigating and learns from his informant that some crazy professor moved in about 10 years ago, and if you had the money, he will do any kind of procedure and give you powers. We then see Mr. Shock kill another woman, but he kisses her and he electrocutes her at the same time.
What
So that was
douche.
that was kind of interesting. Bem
I
shows
think
up.
that's his weird kink because he does that later too. Again,
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
is
think
this
it's a
just
kink
your
of his.
line? I don't know. You could be more
Bem,
creative, is all I'm saying.
Bem shows up, and for some odd reason, Mr. Shock just runs away from him. But I guess we find out he needed a recharge. So Mr. Shock goes to the presser for a recharge, and he literally plugs himself in. And then the two just kind of talk about the yokai that might be able to transform. And the professor has a interest in this, and he gives Mr. Shock permission to kill one since they are also destroying his creations. At the crime scene, there are 2 witnesses who describe who they saw at the scene. They saw Bim, so that's who they describe, and it causes Sonia to disappear quickly. Not sure what she's up to yet. But she ends up coming across Mr. Shock and recognizes him as the killer when he uses the word destiny. She's like, "You're the killer." And he's like, "You caught me." But she gets saved, though, when like Bim shoots lightning into the sky, and it makes Mr. Shock then run off and go after him. As the two get ready to face off, they get quickly interrupted by a bad guy we have not met at all named Starch. And he can go like between human form and then transform into like a blob of starch, I guess.
Yeah. He looks so goofy when he's just a blob of starch. It's just like.
But this causes some conflict because Starch and Mr. Shock both want to kill Bim. So they kind of start fighting each other at the same time. And then at one point, Bim eventually has to shield Sonia, who showed up. And he's just like taking the bolts of electricity from Mr. Shock, which doesn't seem to be hurting him at all since his power is electricity. And then like Bella eventually shows up to help even the odds. And then Mr. Shock starts to go like power hungry and starts absorbing they're like in this like power plant place and starts absorbing all this electricity around him. And like at one point, I guess he like even absorbs Starch, and we think it kills him for the moment. And then we also see that there's a device on his back that allows him to use these powers. And that's when like Bello shows up and just breaks the device. Mm-hmm. And then Bella freezes Mr. Shock to the ground, and Bim takes all the electricity absorbed from him and vaporizes him. There's nothing left. And then Sonia is also left wondering if they are even evil since Bim shielded her. It's definitely bothering her.
Yeah.
And then the show kind of starts closing out with the council as led by this woman. Tells her people to capture these 3 yokai and to bring them to her. And also, I guess Starch did survive, but then he got sucked up by some hero slash vigilante slash a fucking villain. I don't know.
Sounded like a vacuum know nothing guy about or something.
Right now. He had like a vacuum. He's like sucked him up, and I was like, okay. And that was that.
So I was kind of annoyed a couple times this episode with how Sonia gets treated. Like at the police station, like Leo was talking about before, where like her, like, I guess the superior officer at the station is just like not believing her.
This is also a male-dominated.
Yeah, it's a male-dominated
for
environment.
Sure.
But like the way that they told her to like stop acting so irritated because you'll just get transferred again. It's just like, would they tell that to a guy? I don't know if they would. Like, 'cause especially since like the senior officer is acting just as irritated as she is. But like they're not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's a senior officer. You're not going to tell him that like, oh, you'll get transferred. But felt like a double standard. And they also have nicknamed her Joan of Arc at the crime scenes, probably because she's like so fiercely devoted to trying to do her job.
I think that came with her from the other precinct she worked at.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, that's the way they worded it, I felt like.
But like when because like when Joel calls her Jeanne d'Arc, she's like, what? My name is Sonia.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right.
So I think it's new. So like they view her as like a weird like thing. And then also I just laughed when Joel was like, oh, by the way, Sonia, this guy is targeting women, so you should be careful. Like she doesn't already know that. Like I was just like, what?
There's a lot of weirdness.
And also, yeah, just like the animation continues to be like worse than One Punch Man season 2 a lot of the time. Just especially in the fight scenes, it's real jank.
It's not bothering me too much because my expectations weren't set up high.
Yeah, sure.
Like
yeah,
they were for One Punch Man.
Like, why do you not have expectations for the show that you're covering? Why are your expectations not high?
Well, not that high. Like One Punch Man season 1 is like insane.
Yeah, but this is like below like even normal expectations, I would say, for an action anime. Just because like
I'm really here for the story in this one. I don't care about the action.
The story is shit.
But the story is only part of it, and yeah, they are like jumping like all over the place. Like
I don't find this interesting.
I find it mildly interesting. But then the action scenes really kill it for me because like they just cut out like things that should be fluid motion. They just like cut to like halfway through, expecting you to like figure out how that happened. It's just like cutting corners on animation stuff, and it looks
better than shopping for fucking 10 minutes.
I'm not saying my show is turning out great. I'm disappointed because I have high expectations for my shows.
Indeed.
I'm just saying you should have expectations.
Well, maybe if we take a break, Leo will find some expectations. So we should go do that. We'll be right back.
All right, we'll be back.
All right.
Hi, I'm JD. your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each anime cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
The following is an extract from Reanimator Pod episode 47, Blood, Blood, Blood. Taka discusses Des Irae.
Most of the characters in the show, particularly the villains, have more than one name, like many more than one. For example, the super powerful mage from my synopsis is Karl Kraft, also known as Mercurius, also known as Faust, also known as Saint Germain, also known as Paracelsus, also known as Cagliostro, also known as Copophilia Smudge. Woo! Okay, that last one is a Reanimator special, but the rest are all legit. Like, he actually has those names. How about a few more?
He's got more names?
No, they're other characters. He actually had that many names, though. Wilhelm Ehrenberg is Kazikli Bey, because why not? Valeria Trifa is Christoph Lohengrin, who's a priest and is commonly referred to as Father. Lord Heydrich is also Reinhard, and Teresia is Rhea, but Fujiren, aka Zarathustra, is our main character, and also refers to Rhea as Senpai. So we never really learn her name until other characters start calling her Rhea. But really her name's Teresia, so I don't really know how that adds up. Ugh.
And if you like that and you want to hear more from the Reanimator Pod, head on over to reanimatorpod.com. That's reanimatorpod.com. New episodes are out every Monday.
Don't drop that. Don't drop that.
And we're back with Dr. Stone.
Yay.
Okay.
Episode 5.
So, episode 5. Fuck this anime. They wasted half an episode. That's what I'm going to call it.
Really? Okay.
It's really called Stone World of the Beginning.
That's so funny because my only note is this. Found that second half with what Senku did when he first woke up. Boring. Go back to present.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
I guess I'll play devil's advocate. I really liked that second half, but I saw that
dumb.
comment.
It had no purpose.
I disagree.
I felt like it served no purpose.
It served no purpose.
We knew he survived it. We didn't really need to know how unless there was something.
It's cool.
Unless there was something
It's not cool.
The
interesting
monkeys are
or
funny.
crazy that happened, but none of that happened.
It's not like it's some ingenious thing he did. Everyone who's like that is gonna be like, oh, I guess I need to first make fire. Then I need to figure this stuff. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. All right, well, let's get into the episode. We'll talk about it.
So, just like last we left off, Tsukasa had just hit Senku straight up in the head. And like Senku is dramatically falling, and Taiju's like, no, and like running towards them, and he's not gonna make it in time. And Yuzu is like, ah, and like useless as a fucking dumb bitch is. So, that's where we're, resuming the episode at. Oddly, Tsukasa mentions, as he basically like tries to kill Senku, that he's like, oh, you would have been my friend if we had met before this. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, they have the whole flashback where he's like there with the group of friends before it all happened, right?
Yeah. Did anyone else find this episode like weirdly dramatic in the most cliched ways?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck was this? Okay, so
I
there was
like
this
every
one.
episode except for I hated this episode. Everything
I
about it, like
know.
this episode sucks.
There was also one weird thing about that flashback is that the blonde girl was there at one point, like who hasn't been introduced yet, and she was
was she?
and she's standing next to Tsukasa, like younger version of her, and I was like, okay, is she going to be like related to Tsukasa somehow, or is this just like them sticking her in there because she's a main character who we haven't met yet?
You're talking about Kohaku, okay?
Yeah, Kohaku is going to be her name, yeah, but I don't know what that was. Maybe she's related to Tsukasa, maybe she's involved with him somehow. I don't know, but.
I don't know, but yeah, so Taiju and Yuzu like cry over Senku dramatically, like it's a theater play. That's how this plays out, and they're being serious too, which is even worse. And then Tsukasa tells them like, he didn't suffer when I killed him, and it's all very like someone should be playing a violin in the background somehow. And suddenly Tsukasa is like, is Taiju gonna lose his head? Attack me? And Taiji like grabs this rock and throws it in the air, and Yuzu runs like while Tsukasa is distracted by the rock in the air and throws the gunpowder at Tsukasa, who then breaks the pot with the gunpowder in it, and then the rock hits the ground, and then that makes a spark, which ignites the powder.
Yeah.
Oh, and that would have been great, except this does nothing, apparently. Even though it's a giant explosion, apparently Tsukasa is like magic and can't be hurt by
I was laughing
anything.
at how like the flames kind of just like warped around him.
I know! I was like, what is this?
He's also standing there and his clothes are on fire like that guy from Dororo.
Oh yeah.
I was so pissed. I was like, listen, this guy, like, literally his shirt is gone. There's flames, like, on his skin, but somehow he's unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's bullshit. The three of them run away together, and then Taiju's like, Senku isn't dead. I believe in him. And it starts raining, once again, super fucking dramatically. So Taiju remembers this moment where there was like a quiz that asked like if you had the option to save yourself, your lover, or your friend, who would you pick? And everyone was having issues with it, and Senku was like, everyone. I'm gonna look for a fundamental rule that would allow me to save everyone.
All right, here we go, guys. Kat, who would you pick? Yourself, your lover, or your friend?
I mean, you're picking the one that would die.
No, because only one of them will live.
Yeah, only one of us would live.
Yeah.
But
Of the three.
that doesn't match up with the scenario they're in now because two of them are alive.
True.
No, but this is the quiz that they were asked. I don't know. I think I'm too petty to want to like have my lover be with someone else. I think I would pick up my friend.
Uh-huh.
Then I could just dramatically die with my lover.
I was also thinking, like, it really depends on, like, what things I've talked about with my lover before this has come to pass. Like, if it's a lover as in, like, Taiju and fucking Yuzu, where there's, like, literally, they like, barely have started to love each other, then there's no real... Like, I wouldn't feel bad about, like, necessarily, like, leaving them alone, like, with me gone, which is, like, something I would consider, like, saving a friend, like, if I didn't want to leave my lover alone, if I didn't want to have them, like, feel guilty for the rest of their life because I chose to save them or something, you know? So, I don't know. Like, maybe I would choose the friend, too. I'm not sure.
What about you, Leo?
Myself.
Nah.
Hell
See,
yeah.
like, I would feel shitty if I saved myself. And then I would be
feel
sad.
shitty, but I think I could
would
get
also
over it.
feel bad. I would feel sad, like, because all my friend would be dead and my lover would be dead. But, like, I also wouldn't want to, like, have my last memory be like, and now they're going to find someone else. Because then I'd just be jealous for
Also-
my last thought. And that's shitty.
Well, it would
So,
also
like-
depend on the situation. So, say, like, I had kids, then my thought process would be,
Right, yeah.
who would be better to be here for them, me
That's
or my
true.
lover?
That's true.
That's
that
what would
does
change my
it.
opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, that if I had kids, it would change it. Like then I would have to debate whether it would be better for me to take care of them or
exactly.
them to take care of them.
Yeah. See, that'd be like a situation. It's that question for me is very situational, I think.
It can be. I mean,
Yeah.
everything is. But
Sure.
yeah. So anyway, so Taiju's like, he wouldn't sacrifice himself, like blah blah blah. And Yuzu mentions that she thought that Senku was deliberately inviting Tsukasa to attack his neck by like cracking his neck all the time.
Yeah.
And Taiju's like, yeah, that was never a habit that he had before, but now that you mention it, he's been doing it a lot. And apparently there's like this conveniently placed stone bit on his neck. And they're like, oh, you remember if you like pour the liquid on the stone creases, like it'll heal things.
Heal the cracks, yes.
We should try it. And they do that. And then there's a convenient fucking flashback that takes up the rest of the goddamn episode. So really nothing is resolved this entire episode.
So that was the really weird part to me. Like, because in any normal anime, you would go and do a long flashback, and it would come back, and Senko would, like, open his eyes or something, right? Or he would, like, breathe, and then you would cut to the end of the episode cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no reason to leave that cliffhanger for next episode, because everybody knows he's going to be fine. That was the really weird part for me that didn't work.
You literally could not watch this episode, and you could watch the next episode, and you wouldn't miss shit.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah, actually, that's true. That's very true, actually.
Yeah.
Because
you
at the end of
skipped...
last episode, he had already hit him in the neck. I mean, you wouldn't know about the petrification thing, but they'll probably talk about it next episode. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll probably have flashback scenes next episode of, like, previously on Dr. Stone, just like they did at the beginning of this episode.
But you wouldn't get to hear monkeys talking about shiny monkeys.
God.
Not that we need that.
I had good times with that.
There's this giant flashback that takes up the rest of the goddamn episode about Senku counting when petrified and then waking up. And he makes a sketch of where he was laying down like a crime scene in order to figure out how he was petrified. Or unpetrified, rather. And then the monkeys are like, ooh, this thing is shiny. Like, what is it? Is it a shiny monkey? Like, what the fuck? And he writes down the year on a tree so he doesn't have to keep counting. And then he tries to make fire by friction, but that's really not the best way to make fire. Like, when they taught us in Girl Scouts, like, if you're in the forest alone, how to make fire, it involved, like, rocks and grass. Like, not rubbing a stick against another thing.
Yeah, you just gotta find the right stone that sparks.
Yeah, the right type of rock.
And I think that's...
Yeah.
I think that's... It can... I know one's flint.
Yeah, Flint,
I think
of
it's
course.
Yeah, Flint is the best one.
Typically closer to rivers, I think, is the best spots, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was in Boy Scouts, so I don't actually remember everything, but I remember a little bit.
Yeah, between the two of us, we can figure it out. But yeah, this was not a good
That means Bcom's dead if we all three get stranded.
Well, I mean, he would have us. I guess, like, he could just rely on us.
Yeah, I'll be your Taiju. Don't worry.
Or Taiju.
We're like our Yuzu. What are you even talking about?
Oh, am I that pretty? Holy shit.
That's about how worthwhile you are to us.
I don't have any cracks on my face.
Oh, man. But yeah, so he eventually figures it out. He makes, like, stones and sharpens them and makes axes and like, makes fire and makes rope and makes all this shit. And, I mean, it's interesting, but it's not that interesting because it's pretty obvious, like, things to do in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one point where Senku's trying to hunt a deer, and I was like, nope, I don't buy it. That would never happen. And I got really mad, and then he started using a trap, and I was like, okay, I could see that. That's fine.
Sure, yeah. I was wondering how he was feeding himself to that point, because, like, it's hard to fucking hunt animals when you don't have the right tools yet, and yeah.
Well, you can last a decent amount of time without food. What you really need is water.
Yeah.
It's food, shelter, and water. Those are the three most necessary things to survive. I remember that from science class.
But you can last like a month without food as long as you have adequate water.
Nah, food's only like a week or two.
No, I think
there have
water
been
is like a
people
week
who
or
have
two.
there, especially if you have a little bit on you. Like, there have been people who've not eaten for a year. And
it totally depends on how active you are, because there are people who have fasted for really extreme amounts of time, and still survived.
It depends on how much fat you have on your body and how active you are, for sure. Mm-hmm. But the average person has like 2 weeks to a month before they die of starvation.
Makes sense.
So You have some time to find things. I mean, you'll be hungry as all shit, and you'll be like really grumpy and shaky. But,
I'm just surprised he hasn't found a Twinkie yet. Like, I'm sure they still exist. They're still good.
Yeah.
3,700
I don't
years
know.
later.
I was disappointed in this episode. First of all, it was way too dramatic. It felt like a soap opera. And second of all, it wasn't even a necessary episode. You could have just cut it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, now hearing you guys talk about it, that is a really good point. That nothing of note really happened here.
Nothing.
So, yeah.
There was no development whatsoever.
Yeah. And I was surprised that Kohaku didn't have anything to do yet with helping out, like to either revive Senku or fight off Tsukasa, but I guess next episode maybe. So
Yeah.
All right.
Then we have Given, and oh god, okay. So the
I'm gonna take a
title of
nap.
this episode
Wake
is
me when
The
you guys get to
Reason.
Oh, this is the
Carole
best
Tuesday.
episode of Given.
And it reminds me, I don't even remember who sings the song, but it's like, and the reason is you. You remember that song?
And the reason is you. God, what is that song? The reason is you. lyrics.
Failed attempts to fly.
What is it?
Maybe we've been
Hubeste?
living
The
with our
reason?
eyes half open. Yeah. Maybe
Yes.
we're bent and broken. We're gonna get like a copyright infringement on us.
Yeah.
I just love singing it. That
I'm
yeah.
not a perfect person. It's like, God, that song, man, that played on the radio so much. It's ridiculous.
It
I was
did.
speaking
It
of
used
random
to play
songs the
forever.
other day. For whatever reason, I started thinking of a song that goes, "If you steal my sunshine."
Oh, Len? Yeah, fuck that.
That's so old.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Anywho, yes, The Reason by Hoobastank is the title of this episode.
Yes. Okay, so I will remember this goddamn long-haired boy's name because I don't know why. His name is Haruki. Everyone is going to repeat it with me every time. I don't care
Haruki.
what office job you're at. You're going to say it with me, and everyone's going to look at you like you're insane. Okay. So Haruki tells them about the live show they're performing at, like tells all the other band members. Sato thought that didn't include him because he's new, but is surprised to find out it does, which is stupid. But Sato is stupid.
He gets big star eyes.
Yeah. They talk about all their current songs and how they're all instrumental, so they need to come up with vocals for either the songs they currently have or they need new songs.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is you should probably just make vocals for the songs you already have.
Yeah.
What? No more la 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 la.
Oh God, no! Please.
I know I woke you guys with my singing.
The two. So Haruki and Akihiko talk about how Ritsuka has been writing like that song a lot, and they're very surprised. And Haruki, there's some like weird. So Haruki like starts to light his cigarette, and it burns some of his hair.
Mhm.
And then Akihiko gets kind of like up close and personal at this point and like touches his hair and is like, ooh, all up on him. And Akihiko suddenly is like, can I come over tonight? And I'm like, oh. And he makes the excuse of like, I'm on my motorcycle and I drank a lot. Like I can't. And when they get back to Haruki's house, Haruki does this really weird thing where he goes inside, shuts the door, and like crouches on the floor in like a frustration panic moment.
Yes.
And it's just like, ah! And then just like lets him in the house.
I really liked that moment a lot.
I was like, what in the world?
Because he's like, well, we find out this is like sort of everything he's wanted, but also he doesn't know if it is, so it's frustrating. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like Akihiko offers to tie up Haruki's hair, and it's very like slightly sensual, like you're not sure what's going on. Haruki thinks about the first time he saw Akihiko, and I guess some guy was yelling at Akihiko because he slept with the girl he was either interested in or his girlfriend, who knows. And Haruki like thought to himself that Akihiko seemed scary because Akihiko turned around and he had like a giant like black eye, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got the chills. So I guess he kind of had that weird love at first sight reaction, which I've personally never had that. Have you guys ever had like a love at first sight
Yes,
reaction?
but only once. I was away at summer camp. And I looked over, and it was a summer camp where there was like turnover, like between the weeks, like new people would show up. And this girl who was sort of like a counselor for the camp showed up. She was only like a couple years older than me, though. And we were out like bowling, I guess. And I looked over to like that lane, and I saw her for the first time. And I was just like so like stunned by how like just attracted I was to her. That like I was just shook. I was completely fucking shook. And it really has like almost never happened to me again after that. This was when I was like 14 or something, or 13. And it was just such a weird moment that like, and I totally like went and like asked her to like dance at this like dance at the like thing. I got to dance with her and stuff. It was a whole thing. And yeah, it was just, I was like magnetically drawn to this person for whatever reason in that moment. And it's a really rare thing, I feel like. I don't know.
It's never happened to me.
Leo? Yeah, I feel like I have to know them a little bit more before I start to fall.
Usually
Like,
I
I
do
can-
too, yeah.
I can look at somebody and be like physically attracted, definitely. But like, if I find somebody physically attractive, but then like the moment I talk to them, I'm like, oh, they're a fucking idiot. I'm completely turned off. So bad.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's true. And but the thing with this girl, she was like the full package. Like she was, when I went and talked to her, when I worked up the nerve
Like,
to go talk to her, like she
for
was
it to work
perfect.
for me, I would obviously have to find her physically attractive, but then she would like walk into the room and I'd be like, wow, she's gorgeous. And then she would have to say something. I don't really know what
She
they
would
would
have
say.
to say, so I was raiding in Destiny 2 last night with my
Yeah,
buddies.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Then I'd just be like, can I worship you? That would be a selling point for me.
Interesting. But yeah, so
Or
basically,
they walk in, they're like, have you guys ever heard of this great podcast called Nerdom Nonsense? I'd be like, oh, really? Tell me more. Who's your favorite host? Well, I really like this Leo guy. His opinions are amazing. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
And that Bcom guy, what an asshole.
oh my god.
And Leo's just like head over heels.
I'm like, I'm marrying this one.
But anyway, he's been growing out his hair ever since then. Because he fell in love with Akihiko, which is dumb. Like, I don't know, but I guess everyone does weird things. So Haruki had his band dissolve around this time, and he met Ritsuka, like, when he saw him performing with his band at the time, who argued a lot and didn't give him a lot of freedom. And eventually he realized that Akihiko was a drummer, and like basically Haruki got them all together into a band. So he's the one who kind of put pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's always interesting. I guess I see that because he's the more social, like the go-between type person.
And like the most responsible one somewhat, I think, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And he tries to take a picture of Akihiko when he gets there, like when they get home, but he wakes up and goes home.
Yeah.
And Akihiko has some dude at his house, so like he's bi, because he's not gay, because he fucks a lot of girls too.
Do we know that he fucks girls for sure? Like, I don't know if they said that or not.
I mean, he doesn't say it, but he's with girls all the time. I feel
I mean,
like
he's definitely
probably
leading that, like, the Ritsuka
He's
sister
probably
on.
fucking some of them. I mean, come on, Bcom.
He's
Why would
definitely
he
playing
not
around
be?
a bit. Yeah, for sure.
So then Ritsuka falls asleep over lunch and Sato plays basketball instead. And I'm not even sure why they added that to the show because it didn't matter that much. And then later, all of the band members go out to dinner, and Akihiko ends up drinking a lot again and ends up at Haruki's house, and they're both drunk. So Akihiko falls asleep on top of Haruki. And that's cute.
It was cute. He just
was.
starts snoring.
Although I can't say I've ever fallen asleep with my legs straight up, like standing before.
You must have
I
been
think that's a
pretty
little bit
drunk.
of bullshit.
Yeah.
But whatever. Sato says like that he really likes the song that Ritsuka ends up completing because he plays it for him. And I guess Ritsuka's like, this is the first time I've been obsessed with something so much in a long time. And I'm just like, yeah, because you're fucking obsessed with Sato.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end of the episode, Ritsuka is paired with that girl who has a crush on him in art class, and they both have to draw portraits of each other. And she asks if Sato doesn't like Ritsuka. And Ritsuka's like, well, he doesn't hate me because he doesn't really get what she's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then she mentions that Sato dated a guy in middle school who killed himself. And there are apparently rumors that Sato is like part of the reason why this guy killed himself. And like, oh, Sato may be dangerous. And it just shows like Ritsuka being very shocked by this at the end of the episode. And I was just thinking like, well, you're a total bitch.
Yeah. And I was like, also, if this is your way of trying to break them apart, like, you just made Ritsuka, like, 10 million times more interested like, in this guy.
Now he's aware that this is a possibility. And I don't even think that, like, this was in his wheelhouse up until this point. It could have just become, like, a man crush and just never developed past that point. So you're helping it along in a roundabout way.
So, first I want to say, I find Haruki and Akihiko's relationship, like, as Senku would say from Dr. Stone, 100 billion times more interesting than the main duo.
Adult.
It's more adult, it's more messy, and just more interesting overall, and both of them are, like, fully fleshed out people, whereas, like, I continue to feel that, like, Mafuyu is, like, barely a person. But that's, like, you know, it's what he's designed to be. But I was going to ask you guys, do you think Akihiko is oblivious about Haruki's attraction to him? Or do you think he's actively sort of trying to make things happen by sleeping over his house? Or do you think he's just like a bastard who's playing around and he doesn't know how much he's leading people on?
I think he's aware at some point that he's attracted to him. I don't think that he's trying to play with him. I think he's just aware of it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. That's sort of what I get too. Like, just from the way they look at each other at times, I think that Akihiko sort of knows, but for some reason is not pursuing that relationship at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I hope I kind of am invested in things ending up happily for the two of them, at least. So, yeah.
I'm not really entirely sure about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really.
All right. Anything else before we move on?
I think we're good.
All right. We've got the Demon
Carole
Girl.
and Tuesday.
Nope. Not Carole and Tuesday yet. The Demon Girl Next Door. Episode 5.
All right. Time to take a nap, guys.
A town full of traps? The demon on the brink awakens a new ability. All right, so this episode starts off with Yuko's little sister, who, by the way, they keep calling, like, Reiko and then Ryuko, but I'm going to start calling her Ryuko now, because that seems to be, like, more in line with her actual name. I don't know, because, like, Yuko will call her Ryo, like, from time to time, so I'm just going to call her Ryuko. Whatever. They mostly call her that this episode. Little sister wants to interview Big Sis for school, and this, like, kicks Yuko into action, because she realizes, like, oh, I need to actually live up to what my little sister thinks I'm like. So she's like earned a bunch of money from working at the wiener stand. So she goes to pay Momo back all $20 of her debt that she made. And Momo's like not really inclined to take it because Yuko wants to do battle with her as soon as she's paid off this debt. So she kind of connives her way out of it, saying like, well, let's do like a 50-cent payment per day plan. That's fine. And you can use like the rest of your money on yourself or something. So they end up going to the shopping district where they meet Ryuko. And Yuko tells her to buy anything she wants as a present. And Ryuko, like, literally only cares about, like, helping her sister. So at first she tries to buy, like, bandages and a book about medicine to, like, become a combat medic for Yuko because she's always getting hurt. And then she tries to buy, like, Sun Tzu's Art of War because she still wants to be a strategist so she can defeat the magical girls.
So I'm looking at how much Kat wrote for Given and how much I wrote for Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And I think you wrote more for Demon Girl Next Door.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot happening in this episode. A lot of really important shit going down.
They spend 10 minutes shopping. No. No,
It's
not a lot does not happen.
This show is not that good, Bcom.
We have plenty of time, guys. I mean, like, I don't know what you're rushing for. So finally, Momo notices that Ryuko wants this, like, USB mini toy camera because she keeps, like, looking at it when she's shopping. And
He's not gonna stop covering the show, is he, Leo?
I don't think he is.
Yuko buys
He's
it
just
for
gonna
her.
shit on it.
And Ryuko's really moved because she could tell that Yuko's limp tail means that she's been like overwhelmed by this purchase.
It's fucking limp tail.
And Momo advises that her tail pretty much just gives away any emotion that she's feeling at any given time with like different like little like positions and shit. So she can't hide anything.
I really want to watch an episode with you, Bcom, and just when and just hear you laugh at the ones you find entertaining, because I watched the entire episode with the most just mundane face the entire time. Like, none of this is entertaining, none of this is funny.
I feel like his eyes sparkle during these episodes.
I look like
I think
Sato from Given when I'm watching the show. My eyes are like stars. Yeah.
Jesus.
Like,
disgusting. We need to like give him shock therapy every time he gets excited at one of these stupid jokes. It's just like,
Are you,
until
okay?
he
Are you ready
finally-
for this great joke coming up? Here it is. Let me lay this on you. So Ryuko ends up taking her first picture of best friends, Yuko and Momo, but she doesn't know how to get the pictures off the camera. And Momo's like, oh, well, you just need a USB cable and a computer. And Momo is
where
like,
she keeps misinterpreting shit is no, it sucks.
Momo's like, wait, you mean USA? I don't even have a passport.
Yeah,
and
and
she's
then
like,
she
no,
does the
USB.
OS, and I'm like, fuck it, this is stupid. This
You
is
mean,
really
oh,
stupid.
yes? Anyway, at this point, I was having like PTSD flashbacks of working as an IT manager with people that are literally this fucking dumb. But anyway, Momo tells Yuko that she has to be really careful with this laptop that she gives her to borrow. And she gave her laptop so like Ryuko can learn more about like photography, post-processing, blah, blah, blah. And so Yuko becomes a determined delivery demon. But she encounters lots of obstacles. Like, literally, there's this one fucking hallway at her school that has, like, 3 girls with, like, tennis rackets, lacrosse sticks, and kendo swords. There's a fucking turtle crossing the hallway.
I will say, I immediately assumed that she fucking bubble wrapped that shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Well,
right.
she's
I was
smart.
right in the end. I was
You were
like,
right
she
in the end,
knew
yes.
better. I was like, fuck, I hate this show.
Yuko is, like, holding onto this laptop for dear life.
I
And
feel like we should drive to the studio and take like, you know how in, what's that anime about the like making anime? With all the
Shirobako.
girls. Yeah, like, you know, in Shirobako, they have the tape and they have to take it to the studios or it doesn't air.
Yes, yeah.
We should drive to this studio and just burn it and just watch as it just crinkles.
That's a little too close to home,
Kat,
Kat.
I'm gonna have to cut that out of the fucking podcast.
Not the studio, just that tape.
Just the tape.
Just the
Just the
tape.
tape.
All right. Maybe
Okay.
I'll leave that in. I'm going to decide later.
I mean, you know, I was saying I wanted to kill something with fire. I just want to kill this show with fire.
Okay.
Only the show.
So,
I just
Yuko
want
does.
to like, I want to cut you down so
Bcom's
bad.
going to be
and
editing. He's like, all right, I got to make an executive decision.
Yeah.
I just want to make you stop, and I can't.
No,
And
you
it's
can't
so
because this is a very
frustrating.
important anime that a lot of people
It's-
love.
a lot of people love.
It's like the
Really,
Neon Genesis
Bcom.
Evangelion of our generation, really, is what this is.
Really, really. Oh my god.
So Yuko does a very admirable job of avoiding all this bullshit in the hallway. And then her friend Henri comes up from behind and just slaps her on the back to say hi. And like Yuko screams like, "What the fwa?" And like Henri starts juggling balls on her tennis racket, and Momo had specifically warned her like, "Don't let balls near this laptop." So she's like horrified. And then it says like a similar encounter with her other friend Sion, where there's like a bucket of water that almost gets spilled on it. And her friend gives her this like black ball of herbs that like boosts her magical power. And so on her way home, she finds the last obstacle is the stupid dog that barked at her in the first episode and like indebted her to Momo in the first place because she tripped and fell in the water and had to get a new uniform from Momo. And like Lilith tells her like, oh, your magical energy is really high right now, so you can transform if you want. And so she transforms into her quote crisis management form, which turns out to be a really skimpy, thirsty ass outfit. That Lilith is like, well, I guess this would have been more appropriate in Mesopotamian times.
Emotos and thirsty ass outfits. It sounds
Yeah.
like Bcom's anime.
And so, like, this dog's owner comes out and, like, stares at her for, like, 10 seconds, like, what the fuck is happening? But, like, okay, side note. I had seen this image of Yuko in a skimpy outfit get posted on Twitter and on a Discord I'm a part of, and I was not pleased because this anime had been, like, generally pretty wholesome up to this point with, like, the young girls. Like, Yuko is 15 in number only. She looks younger than that. And so I was like, I don't know about this. And then I had these same, like, friends, like, told me, like, oh, no, this happens, like, once. It's, like, even in this scene, Lilith is like, oh, and it's not appropriate. I'll fix it for next time. And so then I knew exactly what happened. And lo and behold, from Kotobukiya right now, you can pre-order an $150 figure of Yuko in this skimpy outfit. Because they had to have her, it just in one scene in the anime, be completely naked so they could sell a figure.
Typical anime.
Typical fucking figure bullshit.
I mean, it's a hot figure.
Yeah. Well, depending on if you find 15-year-old girls that look like 13-year-old girls hot. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Except she doesn't look like a 15-year-old girl.
She looks like a 20-year-old girl.
I mean, she's got boobs, but the rest of her does not. I don't know. Anyway, mercifully, Yuko gets home and she can finally relax. She got her laptop home safe and sound. She opens the door, instantly trips over the demon statue, drops the laptop on the floor. Her sister comes running. She steps on the laptop. Her mom comes running, pours water onto the fucking laptop. They all, like, run around the laptop in a circle, freaking out, and then they all kind of try to clean it up.
I will admit, I kind of smiled at them running around it. But that was the only smile you got out of me out this entire fucking episode. It was definitely not worth the fucking 24 minutes I spent watching it.
Well, and it's really more because it's on Funimation. You have to watch all the goddamn ads.
Well, I have a subscription to Funimation, so I don't have to watch them.
I keep debating.
I have to fucking pay for it, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. So I found out, Leo, that if we get on Bcom's account and we change his VPN on his laptop,
okay,
then he will get banned from Funimation. And he won't be able to watch this anymore.
Okay.
I will find ways to watch this, even if I get banned from Funimation. Don't worry. Yeah, at the end of the episode, the laptop still works because Momo packed it nicely, like Leo expected. Put a waterproof finish on it, all this shit.
I was like expecting it. I was like, no matter what happens to it, it's going to still work because I couldn't see them just like making the Emoto sad.
Yeah. And like the Emoto interviews her big sis and is like, what's the one thing you want most right now? And apparently she wants a donut-shaped pillow because her fucking horns hurt a lot when she sleeps on her side.
Would a donut-shaped pillow really help that, though?
Well, the horns wouldn't be pressing against anything.
Yeah,
because
if you get the horn in the
hole.
middle of that circle, it would probably relieve some of that pressure, I
It'd be
guess.
more like an oval-shaped pillow.
That would probably be better, yeah. But if it's big enough, you could probably... Well, yeah, you probably want
And you know what I now want? I want a fucking donut.
Damn, you're right. I want a donut, too. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's better than donuts? Carole and Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, it's really good.
I mean,
Episode 17, Head Over Heels. Song by Tears for Fears, which I was listening to before this podcast, and God, that's a good song.
So really quickly, this show, like, we've come to kind of hate Ertegun. It kind of makes you like him this episode.
no, okay, so he's still a dick.
Yeah,
Like-
or you feel for him at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's leaving his house to party with two chicks, and he's got this like Pinocchio AI robot that tries to tell him something about his virtual currency investments, and Ertegun just cuts him off and is like, just make me some money, bro. Just like, I leave it all to you. Just make me some money. It doesn't work out. Ertegun wakes up to the doorbell and his house being foreclosed, and his bank account has a balance of $0.
Which would take longer unless he like
Yeah.
the house payment was like already overdue and he didn't know.
Yeah, that did happen
you couldn't-
very fast.
I did think about this. Like, you can't foreclose a house unless you have actual debt, not just that your bank account is zero. So, like, where...
And he can still file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, it would take a lot longer.
I guess we would have to assume that he's been in trouble with the banks and just didn't know about it.
He didn't know about it, yeah.
Yeah.
But
then why would the AI warn him Anyways.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Due to their earnings from selling their first single and their performance at South by Southwest, Gus is able to rent a studio for the girls to record their first album. And Toby is going to be the producer again. Army at 2 has risen up the charts also. It's been on the charts for 2 weeks and it's gone from 52 all the way up to 18. So that's pretty cool. Gus pays for their pizza with something called a J card. And Roddy is immediately like, this company's pretty fishy, I think. And, that'll come into play later. So Roddy was supposed to meet Ertegun. So he goes to this house and he finds him like sleeping under newspapers on a lounge chair next to his pool. And he explains
it's not
what
his
happened.
pool anymore.
Well, it's not. It's next to the pool that used to be his. And Roddy's like, all right, you can crash at my place, I guess. And there's this scene when Ertegun like goes into the bathroom because like Roddy tells him to like please clean yourself up. And he looks at like his shirt that says "Who am I?" and he finally asks himself like the existential question, like,
this
Who
was
am I?
a little too on the nose.
I predicted this so long ago, like, oh, we're gonna get this scene. And like, yeah,
I almost expected him to take drugs or something at this point, and for him to have like an existential, like he does kind of have an existential moment, but like I expected there to be drugs involved, honestly.
Meanwhile, Angela's issues with the IT guy Aaron and the Black Knight stalker dude continue to escalate. It's clear that the stalker is watching her through like various cameras and like robots and listening in on her conversations.
And I felt like for a while it may have been the IT guy.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But then we find out it's not. This is some other individual we do not know anything about so far.
Yeah, so I guess they kind of like misdirected you, because I think all of us kind of thought that for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we get to see like this guy like sitting behind a screen with like a bunch of pictures of Angela on it, and he like creepily kisses the screen as if he wasn't creepy enough already. The one thing that was kind of weird and cool about him, he had those like red LED lights on his fingernails that lit up as he was like typing on some sort of like virtual floating keyboard, like laser sensor activated.
There wasn't even anything there. It was just like it was tracking his exact movement for what an actual keyboard was.
Which is a cool idea. Yeah. So I liked that at least.
Except I couldn't use it. I gotta see the keyboard.
The girls are dismayed to see the studio Gus rented them as like total rundown shithole. But it's kind of
It's
perfect.
not a total shithole.
It
to
looks
be
like
fair.
a fucking abandoned goddamn building.
It looks
That's
like
how
a trailer house. Like, it's not the worst that there's not like broken bottles on the
This
floor.
place was condemned a year ago. Like, it looks awful.
It's got like a lot of like analog equipment in there. It seemed like too like
It
older
was
recording
bad. I'm
equipment.
just saying it could be worse.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
But it's kind of perfect because Toby asked them to play through like their repertoire of like new songs. And
It's all shit.
It's all shit. It's all big shits. The worst shit they've ever written.
Demon Girl Next Door is shit. Kevin is shit. Everything's shit.
Bam is shit. But you can play that one anime. Oh, Maidens. Yeah, I think that was good. You can use that one on the album.
We can use that one. We'll just say that.
So after they play through all their like repertoire, Kyle, that journalist, shows up from the Alba Times to interview them. And Tuesday's a little worried because he's not asking any music questions. And he tells them that even when he's interviewing politicians or athletes, he's mostly interested in the human side of the story. Like, he doesn't even really know much about music, but that's what he wants to know about. So he asks Carole what she thinks about Valerie running for president. And Tuesday's like, well, my mom has nothing to do with us, very naively. And Kyle explains, like, well, Carole is a refugee who risked her life to come from Earth to Mars from Earth to escape horrible conditions there. And Valerie's like fear-mongering campaign is based on getting rid of those people. Mm-hmm. To which Tuesday admits, like, well, I wouldn't want something bad to happen to Carole because of my mom. And so that's a great soundbite for Kyle or whatever. So he ends the interview there and lets Tuesday know that Spencer, like, he also met him and sends his regards.
Man, as a reporter, that's just some fucking ammunition he just got from
like
Tuesday
in your
saying
back
that.
pocket. Holy shit.
Holy fuck.
And so Angela kind of teases Mr. Tao about the rumors that she's dating like the IT genius guy Aaron. And Tao's like, well, Aaron's just some third-rate programmer. He's a total kiss ass. And Tao is like more interested because she sees another story on Angela's phone about Ertegun going bankrupt. And we also find out without his AI equipment, Ertegun isn't sure how he's going to make any more songs. And so Roddy reads some news that those fishy J cards that Gus was using have leaked their customers' information to the public, which was real quick. And Gus's info is probably making the rounds, he says. Valerie is surging in the polls after declaring she would end the trade deal with Earth. And Spencer, her son, is just pissed at her for sacrificing her morals.
Well, she didn't surge. She just went up a couple.
Well, she closed like quite a few points. Like she's within like 5 points or something now, I think, at this point. Which she was like pretty far. She was like 10 points away or something. I don't know. So it's been a big bump. But yeah, Spencer's like pissed at her and digs the knife a bit deeper when he like walks away saying like, have you ever truly been a mother to me or Tuesday at any point?
I really liked that.
Yeah.
Like, she really hasn't. Like, I mean, and she has her own ambitions and those are important, but like, she's also kind of walked away from her true beliefs in pursuit of her ambitions.
Absolutely, yeah. And so Ertegun is having really dark thoughts because he's getting like ripped apart in the tabloids that are like digging up dirt about his whole career. And he's got this like devil on his shoulder who's like just like telling him how like shitty he is and all this stuff.
Oh, the devil and the angel.
Oh, yeah. And it's like
This is
him,
like-
you know, it's a version of him.
Classic. Who created Looney Tunes and all that stuff? What's his name?
Walt
Acme?
Disney?
No.
Wait,
No.
Wait, no. Oh, God. What am I thinking of?
It used to be an actual a spot on the Cartoon Network.
God damn it.
It was his
Why?
name. It was after his name. I can't think of it. It's not Acme or anything like that. Tex Avery.
Tex
Woo!
Avery. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Tex Avery. Yeah, like that's where like I remember that coming from, like mostly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
God, Looney Tunes is so good. Anyway, okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's like a Looney Tunes situation. And, like, Roddy decides to bring him over to Carole and Tuesday's place. And the girls, like, hide behind their couch as they watch him, like, borrow Carole's keyboard and have, like, an existential crisis over whether he can still write songs on his own. And this is when the angel enters his inner monologue, and the angel version of him is this dude playing a guitar straight out of like 1985. And he's like, yo, you can compose a song, you're Ertegun, like you are fire. And so that gives him like the motivation he needed. And so at this point, Roddy's been looking at this leaked J card info and finds that Ertegun's card is still being used. So they find this Pinocchio robot with like Ertegun's like girl groupies like
It's
coming
the
out of the
exact same two
steakhouse.
girls he left with at the beginning of the episode.
I know. I thought that was funny.
They only were there for the
what
money.
is he gonna do with them? Like, he can't fuck them.
I mean, that nose grows in size, Kat. A lot of things you could do with that. And so the robot claims like, oh, I'm going to die soon. I just wanted to live it up like Ertegun one time before that happened. But his nose starts growing, like just like Pinocchio. So you know he's lying about this shit. And like Ertegun just picks him up and like kicks him like into the stratosphere. And so, yeah, Aaron is on the phone with someone saying how like he is only dating Angela for her reputation and because it's giving him a good reputation, and how she's like a massive slut. And like as he's saying that, the Black Knight dude like runs him over with a remote controlled taxi cab that he's hacked.
I mean, he was saying some shitty things.
Oh yeah, like fuck this guy. And he kind of smiles, like seeing that Aaron's finally out of the picture. And so finally, at the end of the episode, Ertegun shows up at Tao's office and tells him, I've written a song. I need to borrow Angela to sing it. And Tao's like, I'm not going to let you borrow her, maybe, because...
Okay, this pissed me off.
What?
Because, like...
Because it was better than Gibbons?
The girls let Ertegun into their house to play this... make this fucking song, right?
Yeah.
They let him do this after he shit on them all this time. And his first thought is, I need to go get Angela or whatever. Like, why not use the girls?
It's true. Yeah, he kind of just like shits on them. He doesn't recognize their talent at all.
But that is kind of Ertegun, though.
But Tao is like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to let you do this because I remember like 2 years ago in a magazine you said I was a money monster working in a music factory.
Yeah, but Tao also took interest when he found out about Ertegun's downfall.
Yeah, he's just playing hard to get, basically. Like, he's just seeing how determined Ertegun really is, I feel like. And Angela's like standing here just like excited that two men are fighting over her. And Tao's like, I'll listen to the song. And Ertegun's like, okay, give me a keyboard. I'll play it for you. And he's like, you'll not find a keyboard in this office. We're all digital here. And so Ertegun's like, all right, you're going to really make me do this? And he starts to like beatbox the song, like kind of embarrassingly.
But after watching Given, I was like, this is cool.
Also, it was like animated pretty well, like his like goofy like hand movements and stuff. Like it was nice.
I'll give it that.
And like he ends the beatbox, and like immediately Tao is like, you can borrow Angela. And Angela like screams like, what? I have to do that?
There wasn't even a moment of hesitation. Yeah. And then Angela screaming was probably the really funny part. Like, what? How do I not get a say in this? And I was just laughing.
Ertegun's just like, let's make people dance. And Tao's like, sounds good to me. This like bro shake. It was so good. Angela's like freaking out in the background. I love it. It was such a good end to the episode.
Yeah, it was very funny.
But it's funny, Kat. I didn't even notice that like he takes advantage of like Roddy and Carole and all of them, and then just like immediately goes to Angela because he knows that's like the way to make money. Pissed. Probably, honestly, is to go to Angela.
But he could make money with the girls. Although I will say their styles are not super compatible. Yeah. Maybe that's
so.
What it is.
Angela was at number 1 in the rankings the last episode and this episode also, but the girls went from like 53 to like 18.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, they did well. They jumped.
Yeah. So like they're known and they're popular. So
yeah.
But even from his perspective, there would be like, oh, Ertegun's going to do something new with this new and upcoming duo. Like that has its own huge selling point. So
and maybe he will eventually do something with them. I don't know, but
no, he won't. He's a little shit.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be all of them getting together and doing one giant amazing song?
I really wonder what this 7 minutes is going to be like. Like this series has a lot to live up to. We'll see.
I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I really had fun with this episode. Like you guys said at the beginning, it made Ertegun a much more like fleshed out character.
Definitely.
And much more just like somebody you can sympathize with. So yeah.
I guess, yeah.
All right. That is the end of week 5 of anime. So next episode, we will be potentially dropping some shows.
Ooh.
Oh, not even potentially.
I don't know. All of our locks, people seem really happy about.
What? What if we all 3 switched our locks?
Oh,
that would be a first.
I will definitely say, like, listeners, like, because this could be a volatile mid-season cuts episode. Like, get to us on Discord, on YouTube, on Twitter. Tell us what shows you're enjoying halfway through the season. And we'll take that into consideration as we decide, like, if we want to switch out shows. So,
also, Kat's going on a little vacation, so
yes.
We will have time to catch up on a bunch of stuff. So
true, yeah,
yeah. So there might be a little pause between this one and the next episode. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm literally leaving for the airport in 4 hours.
Yay! Have fun, Kat. It's gonna be a good trip.
Yeah, you'll have fun.
All right, Kat, take us out.
All right. I have to scroll down.
she's so far up in the dock.
Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher, and follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Come hang out on our Discord. Got the link in the description. With that, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Later.